الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت سبحانك تجعل الحزن إن شئت سهلا رب يسر ولا تعسر رب تمم بالخير السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Um, for today's class, first and foremost, of course, thank you each and every one of you for attending today's class, today's session. Basically, I think to summarize the topic for today that we'll be discussing is basically on a lawful sustenance lah. Okay, mencari maybe in Malay is mencari rezeki yang halal. Okay, untuk dapatkan dapatan yang halal. I think some of the questions posed was about if my workplace doesn't allow me to wear tudung, if my workplace ataupun if I'm a Grab driver handling alcohol, pork, and so on and so forth, how is my sustenance? Okay, is my sustenance, lawful or unlawful, halal ke tak halal, macam mana? Right, so inshallah for today, these are some of the questions that we will discuss at this session lah. But of course, before we start, ataupun before we discuss such questions, allow me to share with you some important principles that I think each and every one of us need to be aware of, okay, in our efforts to obtain a sustenance that is lawful lah. Okay, and for today's class, although I've prepared some slides, but do note that the slides are not much, maybe around, I don't know, 10, maybe 10 slides, okay? Because I think the main, because the topic or the theme for today revolves more on questions lah. Basically, it's supposed to be two-way, okay? Because kalau sekiranya, if you guys have any questions, ataupun you need clarity on some things, on certain job scopes, and so on and so forth, I think this is the best time to raise them lah. Okay, this is not the first time I'm talking ataupun I'm sharing about this topic in my own personal job sendiri. I tend to get a lot of questions with regards to jobs that are halal or even investments that are halal and so on and so forth. So, but at times the questions that I got very, very specific. Okay, so now it's the best time for you guys to also ask some specific questions if you guys have any. All right, okay. Okay, that's no questions. Okay, all right. So if you guys have any questions, you can just of course drop down and type it out at the chat box, or if some of you want some privacy, you can just DM me lah. Okay, then I'll not share with others your name. Right, so the first and foremost about a lawful sustenance, rezeki yang halal. This is a hadith by our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that I think each and every one of us, we need to be aware of this hadith. Okay, ataupun this reminder by our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It is very, very important. Okay, basically the hadith goes, Ya Yohannas, O people, Allah is pure. Inna Allah tayyib. And therefore Allah only accepts that is things that are tayyib. Okay, tayyib meaning pure. I think a few weeks back we talked about this concept of tayyib, but at that point of time we were discussing more on makanan halal ataupun makanan yang tayyib, okay, food that are tayyib. But maybe for today ataupun for this week we will discuss more on pendapat ataupun sustenance, okay, our rezeki yang halal, rezeki yang tayyib, a rezeki that is pure, sustenance that is pure and lawful. All right, so let us just go through this hadith together before we go on to the subsequent slides. Okay, so Allah has commanded the believers as He has commanded His messenger by saying, "O messengers, eat of the good things." Okay, kulu min at-tayyibati. Okay, and do good deeds. Okay, this is from the verse of here in the Al-Quran. Okay, chapter 23, verse 51. So basically, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala commanded us and even the messengers to eat good and do good deeds. Okay, and also another verse in the Al-Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 172. eat of the lawful things that we have provided for you. Okay, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided us his risk, his sustenance in this earth, so we need to choose those that are lawful, that are halal, that are pure. Okay, then he sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a mention of a person who travels for a long period of time. His hair are quite messy and covered with dust. Okay, so here Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he shared ataupun when he wanted to spread this message, he started by reminding the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is tayyib, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only accepts tayyib. And then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he shared a first two dalil from the Al-Quran. Okay, two verses. Okay, before I go on to the next point, I think this is maybe one lesson that we can take into account too. Of course, it doesn't relate much about sustenance, but how we speak. Okay, as I mentioned, I think for those of you who have always attend my classes, we tend to try to be critical of the hadith by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, meaning why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying as such, or why Nabi sallallahu, or how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, giving a talk ataupun sampaikan satu message. Okay, so here Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he started with Allah, O people, ya Yuhannas, O people, remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure. He started by saying, O people, so basically getting the attention from everyone. And then he made a statement. With what is a statement? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure. Okay, and he only accepts things that are pure. And then after that statement, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam datangkan dengan dalil Al-Quran ataupun verses from the Al-Quran, meaning evidences to support the statement. Okay, so similar to us, this is one thing that we can learn. I think at times we practice this, but kadang-kadang kita terlepas ataupun we unintentionally maybe unaware of how we speak ataupun how we convey certain things, ataupun if you guys have any speech presentations and so on and so forth. This is one lesson by the Prophet ﷺ that you can learn from. So all people, so first get the attention from others ataupun for the people around you, and then state your fact. Apa yang you nak sampaikan kepada orang? Okay, because since you already gotten their attention, you need to quickly state the fact. The most important point, apa yang you nak sampaikan. Okay, if contoh you dah get their attention, then you start with the evidence. People may tend to not understand what are you trying to say. Okay, so Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was smart in that sense. He get the attention of everyone. He then made a statement, and then he datangkan dengan evidences, dalil. So same goes to us. When contoh some of us, we have a presentation, we start with try to get the attention of everyone, then we make a statement, then we provide our evidences. Kita make dalil-dalil, our supporting pointers. Okay, so to make our message our message stronger lah. Okay, just sidetrack sahaja. Okay, then after Nabi SAW shared the dalil from Al-Quran, the verses from the Al-Quran, Nabi SAW continued. Then he made a mention about a person who is traveling. Okay, so basically tadi kita baca sampai his hair covered with dust, he lifts his hands towards the sky and thus makes supplication. Ya Allah, okay, so basically this person who is a traveler, dia doa, ya Allah minta, ya Allah ni maaf, kurniakanlah aku rezeki lah, apalah, anything. Okay, but then Nabi SAW gave a disclaimer, but his food is unlawful, his drink is unlawful, his clothes are unlawful, and his nourishment ataupun his nourishment is unlawful. So then Nabi SAW gave a rhetoric question: how can then his supplication be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Okay, so the point here, I think all of us, when we read this hadith, the point is very clear. Someone who has who eat unlawful things, drink unlawful things, wear unlawful things, for example, and so on and so forth, how can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept his prayer? Okay, but here Nabi SAW, dia why Nabi SAW made mention to a traveler. Kenapa? Okay, kenapa orang traveler? Kenapa bukan contoh maybe when he's when he's conveying this message, why doesn't he just take analogy towards one Sahaba in front of him and so on and so forth? But instead he chose a traveler. Because traveler ni safar, okay, safar at times, in our book of fiqh ataupun in our scholars' opinion, safar ada a few types of safar, okay, a few types of travel. Ada travel yang baik, travel yang halal, ataupun travel yang yang baik, yang khair, ataupun ada juga travel yang haram, travel yang makruh and so on and so forth. So travel ataupun safar tu sendiri there's a lot of hukum. Okay, but then safar, when people suffer, we tend at times kita we are in a state of quite a difficulty. Okay, kita dalam keadaan susah, and bila kita dalam keadaan susah, we tend to do things that are, maybe at times not acceptable to Islam. Okay, alright. Pasal tu antara rukhsah ataupun the leniency that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala private for those who suffer, those who are instead of traveling, dia boleh jamak qasar. Because Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala tahu at the state of traveling tu ada masyakkah dia, ada kesusahan dia. Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala tahu, pasal tu ada keringanan dia. Tapi dalam kesusahan atau dalam masyakkah tu pun, there are times that we may or may not lose ourselves along the way. Okay, so Nabi SAW make that ini. Okay, that's one thing for us to ponder upon why Nabi SAW made a reference to this traveler. Okay, so the doa and another thing here is bila Nabi SAW kata a traveler who makes prayer. Okay, we also know a hadith of the Prophet SAW. One of the signs ataupun one of the persons whose doa is not rejected is those who are in a state of travel ataupun in a state of safar. Okay, pasal tu bila kita of course pre-COVID, when we suffer, when we travel, we are encouraged to make lots of prayers lah, because doa safar tu makbul, doa orang yang musafir tu makbul. Okay, yeah. So but even though makbul, but here Nabi SAW kata tapi makanan dia haram, okay, minuman dia haram and so on, so everything is haram. So how Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala can accept his supplication? Alright. So here pun another learning point here is how Nabi SAW gave a rhetoric question lah. Okay, Nabi SAW ended it with how can then his supplication be accepted. So Nabi SAW, he did not give a statement, he did not end with a statement, but instead he ended with a rhetoric question. So basically, here is also some tips that we can try to learn from when we have our presentation or whatsoever lah. Okay, so from this hadith, we've learned or we've listened to this hadith by Prophet SAW, hadith Muslim, hadith Sahih. Benda-benda yang haram tu semua, ataupun food, clothes, drinks that are haram may lead to our prayers not to be accepted. So how do we ensure that our food, drinks are all halal ataupun all lawful? It is through our sustenance, rezeki kita. Okay, last few weeks we talk about in a concept of makanan yang halal, but for this week we are talking about how do we attain makanan yang halal. Okay, makanan yang halal tu banyak cara, the wasilah for us to reach that goal of getting something that is halal. Macam mana cara dia? Okay, kadang-kadang cara tidak menghalalkan matlamat. Okay, I forgot what's the English translation for that. So the things that we do at times it doesn't justify the outcome lah. Contoh you nak sedekah dekat masjid. Okay, you want to perform charity for a mosque, but then you stole someone's money. Okay, you curi, you stole a bank ataupun whatsoever, then you sedekahkan. Alright, so that's one of the many examples that cara, okay, tidak menjamin ataupun does not justify the good deed that you want to do. Okay, you pun nak kena ada cara yang betul to reach the objective ataupun the goal that yang betul. Okay. Nah, Fawaz dengan Qayyum, very good. Robin Hood lah, maklumat tidak menghalalkan cara. Right, very relatable apa tu? examples. Okay. So as mentioned, we are encouraged ataupun bukan bahkan I think encourage is not the best word. We are commanded, okay, to eat, spend on things that are pure, that are halal, that are tayyib. Okay, and purity is achieved when one earns his sustenance in a halal manner and then uses it to buy a halal food. Okay, so ni yang tadi what I explained earlier lah. Okay, matlamat tidak menghalalkan cara. Okay, we need to ensure that the process is halal and eventually we will reach that goal of benda yang halal. Okay, the matlamat yang halal. Okay, right. Let me go on to the next slide. Okay, can. Alright, so this is another hadith. Okay, as I mentioned, nak dapatkan cara-cara yang halal. Okay, there are times before I go into this hadith, there are times that we want to do cara yang halal, tapi pasal okay, meaning the process we know that we need to be halal, it needs to be lawful, but at times we are too hasty. Kita nak cepat. Okay, so that process at times kita nak percepatkan, kita buat benda-benda yang tak sepatutnya kita buat. Alright, for example, as I mentioned just now, as simple as sedekah, ataupun you want to provide monetary support to someone. Okay, for example, you only have $5. You give $5. You rasa macam tak cukup. You nak kasih more, you nak kasih $100, $200. So you do whatever it takes to attain that $100 to $200 and you nak kasih. Okay, even though that cara tu is unlawful. Right, but here Nabi ada this one hadith about Nabi SAW, hadith Bukhari. So none, let us ponder upon this hadith. Okay, none gives charity from tayyib. Okay, and Allah does not accept but tayyib, but that Ar-Rahman accepts it with his right hand. So even satu bahasa yang Nabi SAW pakai yang agak confusing lah, bukan confusing lah, it's a bit there's some thinking behind Nabi SAW thoughts. Okay, Nabi SAW can just say that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala accepts charity that are pure. Okay, but Nabi SAW tukarkan uslub dia, cara dia sampaikan, the manner, the process that Nabi SAW nak sampaikan message pun very penting. None gives charity from tayyib, from things that are tayyib, from a sustenance that are tayyib, and Allah does not accept but tayyib, but that Ar-Rahman accepts it with his right hand. Okay, so this is also another beauty of language lah. Okay, and how Nabi SAW he articulate his idea, his message lah. Alright, yeah. So Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala accepts charity that are pure. Okay, even if it is a date. Okay, so biji kurma, it is nurtured in the hand of Ar-Rahman. Okay, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala dia nurture. Okay, dia memperhalusikan lagi rezeki ataupun sumbangan kita itu. Okay, until it is greater than a mountain, just as one of you nurtures his foal or young camel. Okay, so here the point here is cara tu ataupun benda usaha kita tu, even though dia adalah satu usaha yang kecil, our efforts is effort that is very very small or very very minimal, but if it's done out of purity, out of ikhlas, out of sincerity, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala will nurture it. Okay, until it is greater than a mountain. Okay, similar as to how we feed our young camel, macam itu. Right, so this is very important. The process, ataupun the process to perform ataupun to achieve that Allahumma salli ala sayyidina, that food ataupun drink that is halal, a sustenance that is halal, that is lawful. The process, even though prosesnya adalah a bit rigid, a bit rumit, susah sedikit, but that process is very very important. Even though that process is hard and maybe our efforts is as simple as a date, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala will nurture it to something greater than just a date. Okay, pasal tu cara tu, okay, charity bila nak kasih pun you nak kena with a proper uslub, a proper method ataupun especially maybe to simplify is in a lawful manner lah. Okay, all our our efforts needs to be in a lawful manner. Okay, and then inshallah we will grow to something bigger and bigger and bigger. Right? Okay, you guys Everyone's clear, eh? Thus far, boleh, eh? Okay. All right. So, yeah. Okay, so just now I talked about, you know, the process of how Nabi SAW articulate his thoughts. So similar to us, how we articulate his thought, our thoughts. Sorry. So that process, okay, similar to nanti bila kita nak cari rezeki, the process is very important for us to really think through betul ke tidak. Okay, right. Um, Here are some unlawful sustenance yang I'll share with you. There are three. Um, this is something that has been repeated over and over again. Okay, I think all of us, we are aware. Okay, basically unlawful sustenance yang ada unsur-unsur riba lah. Okay, but this, of course, later there will be some further explanation. Sekarang ni I'm just putting it out there first. Okay, that this is apa yang kita faham. Okay, riba is something that we need to abstain from. It is haram. Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala kata apa? Wa halallahu al-bai'a. Allah has permitted trade ataupun, you know, jual beli, and wa harrama riba. Allah has forbidden usury. Okay. So riba in general, so generally riba is prohibited due to its destructive element, and that can cause injustice to society. And some text ni I lupa nak delete. Okay, so this is one of the things that made our apa ni, sustenance unlawful. Okay, when we deal with riba. Okay, for example, to put in some context, you make some form of investment. Okay, investment tu ada form of riba. Okay, then investment tu tak boleh lah. Okay, pasal ada unsur-unsur riba. But there are, we need to be clear of the idea of riba. Interest, actually this word interest I need to delete lah. Dia bukan interest per se, basically, because this is a bit technical term. Okay, interest yang we understand is interest from banks. Okay, but some pun kadang-kadang ada in finance term, interest can also be from an investment that is halal. Okay, the returns. So dia bukan pakai interest, dia pakai return. So words dia tukar. But more or less the meaning is the same. Okay, you are talking about interest, you know, you dapat lebih, returns pun you dapat something that is, you know, more than that. Okay, but that's what we call hiba. Yeah, hiba. Yeah, fawas. Okay, so ada some terms lah. Okay, so I do not want to use the word interest here lah. Okay, so so as I mentioned just now, form of investment yang ada interest and so on and so forth. Okay, but I'm gonna put some disclaimer here that there are conditions that we need to take into consideration lah. Okay, when we deal with riba. Okay, contoh, this is one of the questions yang I always get. Okay, here in Singapore, we ataupun your parents, ataupun your family members, whoever lah, who someone who buys a house here in Singapore, they take loans, and loans contain riba. Macam mana? Okay, if we do not take into consideration context, and of course there's always more there are always, basically macam ni, kalau when someone wants to give a hukum ataupun when asatiza, when they want to give a certain hukum, kadang-kadang it is important ataupun they will take into consideration the context of the question. Okay, if you betul-betul you talk about riba, okay lah, then everyone cannot and should not take any loans when you buy a house. With that said, you need to fork out for $300,000 to $400,000 cash when you pay for your house. Mampu. Okay, mampu. When you guys are, you know, living in our country, okay, in Singapore, can you pay $300,000 to $400,000 cash without loan? Because tak nak riba, Ustaz. I want to be free from riba. I want to pay $300,000 cash upfront. If we put things into context, if someone get married at the age of, contoh lah, 30 lah, okay, and he started working at, you know, maybe 25, 24, 25, 6 years, okay, 6 years, get married, lepas tu nak beli rumah, and so on and so forth, 304,000, how long do you need? Some of you who are yang experts in mathematics please do help me. How long, kalau if maybe an average annual salary of a graduate, contoh for example is 40,000 sahaja. You need 10 years to get 400,000. And itu tak take into consideration, you need to pay bills, you need to give some money to your parents, you need to belanja, you nak makan and so on and so forth. So you're gonna maybe take 15 to 20 years. And then eventually you're gonna be, contoh lah, 20 years. You're gonna be at 45 years old, and then you wanna purchase your own first house with your hard-earned cash. Okay? So Nanya kena take into consideration lah, just rent. That's one option juga, Muhammad. Okay, you can choose to rent, but of course, do you want to rent a house? Ataupun because dia macam gini, if every rental pun, if you tengok at HDB, there are some quotas. Not everyone can get a rental house. Okay, to put things into more perspective, contoh, if a man and a woman just got married, okay, they want to rent a house, HDB will not prioritize them. They will prioritize others yang contoh ada dah ada anak, nak sewa rumah, blah 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 blah. Okay, very very technical terms. Tak nak masuk. So our options are very very limited. So in this situation, here maqasid syariah, the objectives of syariah take place. Apa tu? Maqasid syariah in hifzun nafs, untuk menjaga, okay, to protect one's life. Okay, I always say this. If we all can agree that a home is a place where we should feel at ease. We should feel safe. Itu yang paling important. At ease lah, tenang lah, tempat tidur lah. Okay, itu semua betul. But the most important thing is for us to feel safe. A shelter to hide on, to shelter on. Okay, so rumah tu is a place where kita nak kena menjaga nyawa ahli keluarga kita. Okay, for someone yang ada wife ataupun a child, you need to provide space, shelter. Itu tanggungjawab, kan? Need to provide for your family. So in that situation, maqasid syariah hifzun nafs take over. Dia nak kena, okay, since in Singapore there's no loans yang tak ada tanpa riba. You pergi HDB, you pergi bank lah, mana-mana, semua ada interest. You need to take it. Because why? Hifzun nafs, maqasid syariah took over. Okay, dia kata, okay, kepentingan menjaga nyawa lagi penting in this situation, because if you do not provide shelter ataupun a home for your family just because of riba, then your family nak tinggal mana? By the street, by the beach, at the park, in a tent, for how long? Tidur rumah mak bapak lah. Ya, okay, tidur rumah mak bapak. Rumah mak bapak pun pakai loan. And the cycle goes on and on and on. Okay, pasal tu now we see all of us, your family members, if not, I think 28 of us here, our family ataupun our parents, they take HDB loans ataupun they take loans to buy house, unless someone yang memang betul-betul kaya lah, can pay 300,000 upfront, terus cash habis. Okay, alright. So this is very very nak kena hati-hati lah maksudnya. We need to understand context first lah. Okay, Fawaz ada recommend ni, can take loan from him. Okay, can. That's all. Just get, maybe dua orang je minta, you dah kena provide $1 million. Alright. Ustaz, if there's a room at the parents' place which is fully paid, is that considered permanent shelter? Okay, so thank you, Khairul Nisa, for the question. So this is not about unlawful atau lawful sas. This is more about tanggungjawab, kalau contoh sebagai seorang suami ataupun sebagai seorang isteri lah, okay, to provide shelter for your family. Okay, of course, kalau sekiranya there's no clear-cut answer, Khairul Nisa, if I can say about this. For example, if a husband and a wife discuss that the best possible option for now, maybe at this point of time in light of COVID and so on and so forth, dan sebagainya, rumah pun belum siap, is for them to stay at their parents' house ataupun and their in-laws, for example, then it's okay. Shelter does not only limit to shelter rumah. Shelter rumah tu antara dia, yes. Okay, but there are also other forms of providing shelter for your spouse lah. Alright, security, okay, baju, pakaian, makan, minum. Okay, this is all part of providing shelter. Okay, right. Okay, all right, let's go on to the next points. Basically, this is gharar. I think this is something that resonates too close to us, but just good to know, just dengarkan sahaja lah. Okay, just prohibition of gharar, okay, uncertainty. Right, so basically things yang ada risky, hazardous sale ni semua, very dangerous sale, we need to abstain from it lah. Okay, and number 3 is prohibition of maisir lah. This is I think this is clear cut. Okay, there's no point, no, that's why I belum pernah jumpa any classical text yang kata maisir ataupun gambling is halal. Ustaz, tengah darurat Ustaz, nak kena gamble juga. So far I've yet to found any pointers on that lah. Okay, so this is also clear cut. Okay, right. Before I go on to this, tadi ada one question, is it? I think terlepas. Muhammad, so in this context, if we legitimately have no other option, we are not sinful. Yeah, betul. We are in a state of darurah. There's no other option. If you come up to me and say, Ustaz, there's this one loan yang with no interest, we should take that, then we should take that. But if you cannot give me an alternative that, you know, there's a loan yang without no interest, okay, then we are in a state of we in a darurat state to you know to take that loan lah. Okay. All right. So this is another point, ataupun another job scope of one that we can talk or discuss about. Hold on, let me just. Okay. Right. Can hold on. Sorry. Okay. Can. So this is about. Yeah. Can we work jobs that require us to deal with alcohol? Okay. This is it can be a cashier at NTUC, FairPrice, blah 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 blah, or you can even be a Grab driver or Food Panda, whatever you want to call it. Okay, stewardess. Okay, as mentioned dekat dalam poster. Okay, so in general, we are aware that, you know, alcohol too is something that we need to abstain. We are prohibited from. Okay, we cannot consume alcohol. All right, so and as best as possible, we should also try to avoid any alcoholic beverages like in our job scope. Okay, but this is very important here. The third point, however, in situations such as there are no available jobs apart from one that require us to deal with alcohol beverages, and it is not the primary job scope. Okay, this is allowed as it is a sole support to support your family. Okay, this is very important. Okay, kalau sekiranya contoh kerja you can only do Grab because why? You are, so for example, still studying and you need to do Grab because you need to support for your family, ataupun you need to do Grab because you need to have your own income, so you tak bebankan your family members, you tak bebankan, tak susahkan your parents. You need to work, you need to pay the bills, so on and so forth, and you cannot have a full-time job. What you can do is only Grab. Okay, and it is not the primary job scope, meaning handling of alcohol is not the primary job scope. If you ask me, or if I ask you a question, what is the role of a cashier at NTUC? What is the role of a cashier at FairPrice? Kerja dia apa? Scan barang, bayar. You know, scan. Okay, that is their primary job scope, is to scan stuff for customers to pay. The primary job scope is to scan only alcoholic beverages. For example, those who work at casinos, they are ataupun at the bartender lah, senang kata. What is their primary job scope? To serve beer, to serve alcohol. But all these things, Grab, Panda lah, whatever lah, Deliveroo lah, apa-apa yang, even though yang I tak sebut, their main job scope is to send makanan. Okay, to ambil makanan from point A hantar ke point B. Fair price, their job is just to scan stuff for people to pay. Kan sekarang pun ada machine yang untuk scan. You nak kena scan sendiri. Okay, the staff, just stand there to assist others. So it is allowed to do so. Okay, here is another maqasid syariah that also took into place. Okay, basically also hifzun nafs, nak kena jaga diri you, jaga diri keluarga you. So ni its sole purpose is to support oneself and one's family. This is another maqasid syariah ataupun objectives of syariah. Okay, whereby you need to protect your family first also. Okay, jadi tidak ada masalah dekat sini. Okay, so this is the punya justification lah. Right, a view from the Hanafi school allowed for such concession to be made, especially in a country where a majority of people are not Muslims. The Hanafi scholar gini held the view that the wages of one who is hired to transport one, yeah. Okay, so macam ni, because it is not the ones ataupun one's primary job scope lah. Okay, let me just see. Okay, hiring this out actually. Oh, okay. So I understand the question, Harisa. So basically, should we just try to save 5 to 10 years, before taking loans? I think ni kalau I pass it to one of my colleague, then he will be very. I think I know. Nanti dia akan. He will sound like that. That's you can try to do so. Okay, but we are living in a state whereby memang it is very, very challenging for us to get to save up to actually buy out the house. Okay, kalau sekiranya you are confident that you can do so, please do so. But if you know that if you try pun 5 to 10 years is not gonna make it, okay, betul-betul susah, and there are opportunities ataupun ada peluang untuk beli rumah. Okay, the opportunities came for you to purchase a house untuk balance of flats coming out 1 year, you can straight away move in, then you should do so. Okay, right? I hope that clarifies. Okay, what if you work at a non-halal F&B? Okay, at a non-halal F&B, why are you working at a non-halal F&B lah? That's the first inilah. Okay, non-halal, it is wide lah. Contoh, meaning kalau contoh you kerja dekat kedai kopi Cina, it's a non-halal punya F&B lah. Okay, but contoh kedai Cina tu tak jual, it does not sell any beer ke apa-apa ke, it's just coffee and tea, but no what, no things that are not permissible, then it is okay lah, tak ada issue lah. Okay, but if you are working at a shop whereby a non-halal F&B, contoh satu kedai, let's call it shop A that sells pork, wine, alcohol, and so on and so forth, and you work there, why are you working there lah? That's my point. Okay, kenapa tak just get McDonald's ke BK ke whatever and so on and so forth. Okay, what make that person choose to work at a non-halal F&B? Try to share with me some clarification on that, then we will see how the conversation goes from there. Waalaikumsalam, Azila. How about being a stewardess? It is similar to what I mentioned earlier. Okay, the main job scope for a stewardess apa? Okay, it is not to serve alcohol. That's not the job scope. Okay, when you apply for a job as a steward, okay, the punya job scope is not you need to serve alcohol. You need to serve alcohol and pork. Okay, it doesn't say that lah. Okay, maybe you should ensure the safety of the passengers. You should provide beverages for the passengers. Yada yada yada. Okay, so as long as it's not the main primary job, okay, or contoh to provide things that are not permissible, then it is okay lah. Okay. Not Ashikin. What about if a colleague asks you to buy? I think I've gotten a similar question like this before. Kan? Bagi orang solo, just got to know their koi contains alcohol. Kalau okay, dia macam ni. If there's no one else for you to buy, there's no one else can help to buy the food, okay, that particular food, then but okay, sorry, let me rephrase. If there's someone else that can help to buy that food, contoh you are going out, but there's a non-Muslim friend with you, then you go lah, you beli je, then you help, you just teman orang, they buy, they carry, and so on and so forth. But if you are the only person that can go and buy, okay, you just seorang, tak ada orang lain lagi, and contoh the situation, contoh they ask you to buy the food because they are too busy, they are too packed. Okay, don't tak boleh leave for lunch, for example. You are the only one who can leave for lunch. At that point, should you just help them out of courtesy, out of respect for your colleagues, love for your colleagues, ataupun tak boleh, this is all halal, this is all haram, I cannot buy. To me, on a personal level, as long as you are not buying like a bottle of alcohol, okay, ataupun pork sandwich ke macam itu, then I think it is just a spirit of helping one another out. Okay, the spirit of appreciating diversity between two faiths. Okay, we are not buying the food in this context. It's just a kuih. Okay, so meaning dia macam gini. Kalau contoh orang suruh you belikan wine bottle, you pakai tudung lagi, contoh seorang wanita beli, people will question lah, cannot say judge, but people will question, why a Muslimah contoh beli wine, but this is just a kuih. You will not arouse any suspicion. Orang akan just, dia beli kuih, for example. Those who know, dan yang tak tahu, dia tak tahu. So you just doing it, you just buy kuih, you just bawa, you tak pegang pun, the cashier is the one who help to angkat the kuih and so you are just carrying the plastic sahaja. So bila you carry the plastic sahaja tu, it is similar to Foodpanda, Grab, Deliveroo. You pergi ke satu kedai, you are just angkat sahaja, you just deliver sahaja. Sama. Am I right, Ashikin? Okay. Technically, they are just ordering from you. You pun jadi that, deliver food at one point sekejap je. Okay, so as long as just helping a friend out, then I think it should be safe. How about lawyers whose clients are criminals? Muhammad Amin, thanks for the question. I am a bit unsure what you are trying to bring us through about clients who are criminals. Tolong orang yang jahat. Okay, I think let me talk about that. There's a hadith by the Prophet SAW. We ever talked dekat Syama'il Muhammadiyah, those of you ever attended. So basically, Syama'il Muhammadiyah, it is a hadith sahih. If I'm not mistaken, Bukhari or Muslim, I cannot remember, but it is a hadith sahih. So basically, there's this one time Nabi SAW, he was resting at his house, and one of his wife is cleaning, for example. Let's just put it as such. And then suddenly this one person came knocking. Okay, this person, some background about him. He is the most hated person and the most biadab person ever. Okay, so dia nak masuk jumpa Nabi SAW. And of course, isteri baginda SAW, isteri the wife of Prophet SAW, wanted to protect her husband. So ada macam mungkin dia macam tak boleh lah, tak mau masuk Nabi. But when Nabi SAW heard that person wanted to enter, he allowed. Okay, so he allowed that person to enter. So they talk, and that person, he was so bad. Okay, dia sangat biadab. Dia bercaci maki depan Nabi, dia berbual kasar dengan Nabi SAW. But Nabi SAW did not reject him. But eventually, after he had, lepaskan all his frustrations, he left. So here, we learned a very, very important lesson. Nabi SAW, even the worst of people, Nabi SAW terima. Okay, Nabi SAW terima orang yang biadab tu, dengarkan, cuba fahami orang itu, but Nabi SAW did not reject him. Okay, just a side track about, tolong orang jahat lah. Okay, there's no, and if I'm not mistaken pun, ada that one part of the hadith, I don't remember lah the ending dia macam mana, but Nabi SAW akan katakan kalau sekiranya Nabi SAW, if Nabi SAW also hated that person or also rejected that person, then technically everyone else rejects him. There's no one who loved him, no one who cared him. So Nabi SAW did not want to be that last person who hated that person. Subhanallah. So Nabi SAW dengar lah. So he's not the last person to hate ataupun to reject him. Okay. Zahida Zahid. Is if you work in a non-halal F&B, nanti orang terfikir asal ada correct lah, betul, Zahida Zahid. Okay. I pernah asked to buy a meal from a shop that sells pork, but my colleagues did not order pork, it was fish. Yeah, betul lah, correct. So memang there's no one else to help to buy her food, and she has no time. Kesian kan, takkan you macam dia macam gini. At times pendirian sifat kemanusiaan, the spirit of humanity takes into place juga lah. Contoh, you pergi lunch sedap makan, then your colleague kebulu, kesian member tak boleh makan just because I cannot buy food that are cannot buy haram food, senang kata, non halal food, kesian. And kalau kita go on to a next step, what will people think about Islam then? Oh, Islam is a very strict religion, cannot help others, just help themselves, food and they are not halal, don't they cannot. Okay, even if we cannot buy very betul-betul suntuk masa pun diorang takkan tolong kita, and it reflects a bad image about Islam. Am I right? Tidak ke macam itu? We want to protect a good message of Islam. We know our principles. We are buying for someone who is in need of help, and we are not consuming the food. We are not holding the pork. We are just delivering the food. We are just taking the money from our fan. We go to the shop, there's pork, okay, but we did not touch anything. We be conscious, kita jaga diri, kita cuci tangan, whatever. We pay, kita balik. Ustaz, nanti duit tu, apa tu, ada, the cashier kasih, dia dah pada pegang pork. If you want to go to that extent, our money, if I'm not mistaken, based on research, is one of the most dirtiest place. Okay, you pass here and there, you masuk wallet dan you kasih orang, tu paling kotor. So kotor tu diterima, so just keep an open mind, just be yourself, help. Niat you is just to help, then should be no issue lah. Okay, very good question, Ashikin, thank you so much. I feel like when I work as Grab and antarkan keji. Oh. Yeah, so Zahida, I understand your frustration, nak besarkan lah apalah and so on and so forth. If I'm not mistaken, if someone betul-betul do not want to associate themselves with any form of alcohol or pork when performing Grab or Panda, whatever, I think there's a application ataupun there's a system in that app that for you to only accept halal punya foods. Okay, kalau you betul-betul macam itu, then you accept macam itu je lah. End of story. You don't need to do all this. You don't need to pening kepala macam mana ni semua. You just choose. Oh, kalau tak ada pun Fawaz kata betul, just recheck. But then nanti dia complain pula, oh tak boleh, nanti my rank turun. Bukan rank lah, tak tahu apalah dia panggil, but if you reject, you will get lesser orders. Then you nak dapat, that's your pendirian is you tak nak associate anything with me. Then itu cara dia lah, itu mujahadah dia lah. That's the so-called process ataupun jihad dia lah untuk dapatkan rezeki yang halal. But some others, they hold on to the oh, I'm doing this because memang I need to support my family. I don't touch all the alcohol, pork, wine, semua I don't touch. I just pegang the plastic and so on and so forth. And my bags pun ada 2 separate bags. Okay, this is halal punya bag, this is a non-halal punya bag. Everything terjaga, I okay, I proceed. Those yang tak okay ni semua, don't proceed. Senang, tutup cerita dah. Susah nanti tak. That's your choice dah. Okay. Ya Muhammad. So how do we apply the surah ayat where help one another to do? Okay Muhammad, I'm not sure what you are trying to bring us through. Kalau you ada you want to share, you can speak up. Semestinya just chat here. I've been talking alone for quite some time. Okay. Please do unmute yourself and maybe share what's your view on this. Yeah, for us. Thank you so much. Yeah, affect your bonus and so on and so forth. Like for example, we do grab food, but we deliver alcohol even though they may. Okay. I haven't belum sampai point. Maybe I'm a bit slow today. Minta maaf. But I'm not sure apa yang dia cuba disampaikan di sini lah. Oh, okay, but they are non-Muslims, am I right? The customers, you are not promoting alcohol to Muslims? Yeah, as I mentioned, if you want to go down that route, Muhammad, you tak nak support all this, then if you are a Grab driver, food panda, then you can choose that option lah, whereby you reject everything and so on and so forth. That's your pendirian. But this, as I mentioned, this is a holistic, bukan holistic. This is a more of a panduan, a guidance. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay, no, I'm not saying this option is the best option, or this option is the best option. Every one of us, we have our own personal beliefs. Okay, I am just sharing with you. This is some of the views, okay, that we can adopt. If you rasa, Ustaz, your views terlalu tak boleh lah, terlalu ini, it doesn't suit me, by all means, follow your view, whereby I need to abstain from all this. But as I mentioned, there are two types. Senang kata there are two views lah. One view, as I mentioned just now, this is, it's not the main job scope. Imam Abu Hanifah pun di sini dah cakap dekat sini. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, this guidance here. Okay, contoh this, it doesn't suit you, and then khalas. Then it is best for just to tinggalkan and so on and so forth. Okay, there's no problem. Okay. To be honest, I also have some friends yang work as such and they reject everything. Tak ada masalah. Diorang tenang, hidup tenang. Susah, sedikit bonus tak dapat, tapi hidup dia tenang. Okay, so macam gitulah. Okay, it is balik-balik it based on one personal belief. Okay, I'm not here to enforce that you need to follow this view that I'm showing right now. You need to listen to me. No, I'm not. Okay, it is up to you. Apa yang resonate close to you. Okay. Afwan, Muhammad Afwan. Yeah, thanks, Zahida. Are there other questions? Other one of you asked if someone replies to my salam with Mu'alaikum salam. Mu'alaikum salam. You see, because he is not Muslim, I'm not sure the point of because if one declare that he is not Muslim, means they declare that he keluar the religion lah. Okay, so mu'alaikum salam, there's no unsur-unsur, sekutukan Tuhan, meaning you associate Allah with others. Okay, if you associate Allah with others, then technically you are performing a shirk lah. Okay, mu'alaikum salam, mu'alaikum. Linguistically pun, I pun tak faham maksud dia mu'alaikum salam pun apa. Yeah. Okay, I take one last question before we end. Here, basically it's about hijab lah. Okay, working dekat basically jobs that are yang perlu buka tudung lah. I think we are all aware of the new recent development that nurses, they are allowed to wear hijabs lah. Okay, this I think this question is best for us, for me personally, to talk on a personal level to the one who is asking about this. I do not want my words to be misinterpreted, okay, because this is a very sensitive topic. Okay, so I apologize. Kalau sekiranya nak, of course we can have a proper discussion on this, okay, on a personal level, me, yourself, and maybe a representative from Bildan, okay, then we can talk about it, okay. But for now, I think we put on hold that question first. Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for today's for your time today. I hope that you guys learned a thing or two. Okay. Let us end the class with tasbih kafaran salatul asr. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you so much, everyone. I apologize if there's any shortcomings on my part. Kalau terkasar bahasa ke, tersalah cakap ke, I apologize for that. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.